Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is where I like to talk about writing in particular, but creativity and a little bit of mental health. And today's going to be one of those mental health kind of days because recent events, of which many are which in the news, and there's probably some going on, particularly in your personal life. I know I fit in both of those categories as well. Uh, this comes up a lot with a lot of my clients. Of course, I work with a lot of clients with anxiety, with depression, with addictions, a variety of other issues. And there's always that sort of looking for that magic pill. A lot of people literally go to a doctor to get pills. In reality, there's a lot of techniques that you can use every day that will help boost your mental health. And if you look down in the description, there's a link to one of my books called Boost Your Mental Health. It's a very cheap book. I've intentionally made it very cheap. Where I basically discuss four techniques that are free, that have piles of scientific evidence behind them that show that they work, and basically you get some benefits from them just by simply doing them. Even if you're kind of half-assing it, if you don't feel like you're doing it right, just trying to do these things alone gets you lots of benefits. And today what I want to do is talk about one of those techniques, which is mindfulness meditation. I teach this technique to pretty much all my clients because it really does seem to help with just about everything. It even helps with attention deficit disorder, which is strange because the core of mindfulness meditation is about focusing your mind, and these people are folks who have trouble focusing their mind. But even then, it still works. It's just you have to taper back your expectations a lot. And so what I'm going to do in this video is talk about mindfulness meditation, what it is, how it works, and then I'm going to make another video in which I actually walk you through it. It'll be about like a 10-minute video or so that way you can just listen to that video and follow along and then get the meditation benefits as well. So this video is going to be more kind of academic and talking more about the benefits. But as I point out, the core of mindfulness meditation is to focus your mind on one thing. Don't really care what it is. And when you notice that your mind is wandering, you just point out, oh, I'm just thinking, and then you go back to whatever it is that you're focusing on. I usually teach my clients to focus on their breathing because you're always breathing, and if you're not, you've got bigger problems to deal with than meditating right now. But that way you can meditate at home, you can meditate at work, you can meditate in the car, these sort of things. You can always kind of check in with that. One of the things that I like about mindfulness meditation is that it doesn't even take very long to do it. You do need to do it every day to really get the benefits. But because you can't just do it once and get benefits, it might help you in that moment, but over time that one moment will kind of pass. But the benefit is if you can, they did a study where they took a bunch of newbies, people who've never meditated before, didn't know anything about it, taught them basically the same kind of mindfulness meditation that I teach my clients, and then just told them, do this 20 minutes a day, every day, and then just come in once a week for a CAT scan. They were just totally fishing to just see what happens to a newbie's brain once they start meditating. And they noticed a couple of things. One, the corpus callosum got thicker. After about 3 weeks, they started noticing differences in the CAT scans. And one of the things they noticed after about 3 weeks was the corpus callosum got thicker. And what that is that's the bridge between the two hemispheres of the brain. It actually kind of combines a lot of the parts of the brain. So the brain being thicker, that part being thicker means that the brain can talk to itself more. It's basically operating a little more efficiently. And then one of the more powerful ones, I think, which I definitely see with a lot of my clients, is that the prefrontal cortex was gaining more connections over the amygdala. The amygdala is the part of our brain, we used to call it the lizard brain. It's a part of our brain that generates a lot of negative emotions: anger, fear, and sadness. There's really four emotions, four primary emotions: anger, fear, sadness, and happiness. And the three negative ones come from the amygdala. We used to call it the lizard brain because when we were doing comparative anatomy, we noticed that that part of the brain was found in humans, is found in a lot of mammals, it was found in all mammals actually, and is even found in lizards. And so they thought, oh, this is through the progress of evolution, this was the lizard brain that got carried on into mammalia. In fact, it's older than that. Some fish, I believe sharks, have an amygdala as well. It's a very old part of the brain. I have a whole other videos on like emotions and what they are, and to talk more about that. But this is the amygdala is the part of the brain that generates these emotions, and the parts of your brain that are emotional are older, faster, and more powerful than the parts of your brain that are logical. So by older, I mean evolutionarily, we can go way back and find these primitive emotion centers of the brain. They are faster in the sense that when something happens, you have an emotional reaction. It's measured in like microseconds. It's fast. To the point that we will say things like, this made me feel X, which is not really true because there's no direct correlation. The same thing that makes you feel a particular way in a particular situation may make someone else feel a different way in that same situation. Or you might feel a different way in a different situation, even though it's the same event. You see, there's no direct cause and effect. A thing happens, you have an emotional reaction, and it's really just that fast. But someone else could have a totally different emotional reaction. Again, I think I talked more about this in my emotions video. And it's also more powerful that when we are in an extreme emotional state, like anger, fear, sadness, our IQ drops. I think some people said it's like 30 points. It's a lot, which can drive people to being literally mentally retarded when we're trying to do this. Not to get too political, but this is the reason why politicians and a lot of other organizations like to drive you on fear, because your brain responds to fear more strongly than any other emotion. And if you are afraid and your IQ goes down, and also fear is a motivating emotion, it makes you want to do something. You feel like you need to do something because at a very primal level you feel like your life is threatened. So of course you need to act on that. And so if a politician or a cause or a boss or marketing, they do this a lot in advertising, if they can make you afraid, they can kind of lead you by the nose to where they want you to go as far as what you're doing, what you're saying, how you act, that sort of thing. And so that's why I say these emotions are so powerful. Now what the prefrontal cortex is a part of your brain, I kind of point here because it's like right behind our forehead, and one of the things it does is it second guesses our emotions. Not every organism has a prefrontal cortex. In fact, I think most organisms do not. Maybe some of the great apes, I'd have to look that up. I've been told, I think dolphins and whales have a prefrontal cortex. I don't think dogs. So yeah, and as far as I'm aware of, it's only a mammalian thing. Birds don't really have a cerebral cortex. Kind of strange. It's a whole other topic. And so by that part of the brain, if it's more developed, it will second guess our emotions. So the process happens that there's an event that happens, you have an emotional reaction, and then Mr. Logic walks into the room. Because, see, Mr. Logic is the slow kid in the class. He hasn't been around for very long. He's not very fast. And so that's how it feels. And logic is not there to push back on emotions. Logic, usually what it's trying to do is justify the emotions. This is, again, one of the reasons why politicians and people in power like to use fear. Because, something happens, an event, lots of scary images. People feel afraid because that's very strange. We haven't seen that before. You immediately start to personify and personalize this and imagine, that could be me. I could have been suffering from that. I could have been caught up in that. And then along comes a politician and goes, yes, you need to be very afraid of this. And to not be afraid, we need to do this. And most people just jump right on that because they are looking for a reason to not be afraid anymore. And if you give them the excuse, then they'll go for it. and they won't really think about it too much because Mr. Logic has been hijacked. In fact, what happens is logic starts to figure out ways to justify how this solution will deal with this problem without really doing a lot of in between, or without really even considering, are there maybe 5 other solutions, which might even be better, or is there even a solution necessary? Is this even a problem? Just some scary pictures, so to speak. So when you develop your prefrontal cortex, and mindfulness meditation is one of the best ways to do this, what you're doing is training the part of your brain that will interrupt that flow. So event happens. You have an emotional reaction. That still happens because this is too fast. Happens. But then prefrontal cortex jumps in and asks, do I need to feel this? Do I need to be afraid? Is fear the right emotion? Do I need to feel anger? Is this really right emotion? And so then Mr. Logic walks in the room. Again, still the slow kid in the class. He walks in, he sees all the fear, or he sees all the emotions, whatever it is, but then he sees all these question marks that are all over the emotions. And that gives you the opportunity to grab onto a question mark, because now you have options. Before, you just had emotion, you just had fear. Now you have question marks. So now you see the scary pictures, and you might still feel fear, because it's still scary, it's still strange, and weird things are happening, or whatever it is. And then that other part of your brain jumps in and goes, that's not scary. It's kind of stupid, actually. And so when Mr. Logic walks in the room and wants to try and find a solution, he's kind of seeing where I don't really need a solution. And one of the problems, I think, in general today is a lot of people don't have control over their emotions. They are driven by their emotions. They're driven by fear a lot. We are driven by fear quite a bit. And anger, of course, is a common one. And then from those come sadness. I don't think that's the Yoda quote, but close enough. And so one of the things that we need to do is get a grip on our emotions. Because, you see, we are emotional beings. We make decisions based off of emotions. That is how we are driven. I butt heads with some of my clients because they like to say, oh, no, I'm a logical guy. I always make decisions by weighing the evidence and things. It probably feels that way, but usually what it is emotions have narrowed the options to where you've only got like 2 or 3. I like to use this example. I was out in the world, I forget where I was buying lunch, and it's one of those where they have like all the food choices were up there. And I was standing there and I was kind of standing back trying to figure out what I wanted to get, if anything. And this mom comes in, and she has a daughter with her who looks to be like maybe 4, something like that. And the mother leans over to her daughter and says, "Do you want what was it? You want chicken nuggets or fish sticks?" I can't remember what it was. And the girl thinks, "Oh, you want a hot dog or you want chicken nuggets?" And the girl thinks, she goes, "Hot dog." And mom orders a hot dog. That was really brilliant. Because you see, I'm looking at the board because I'm an adult and I can read. I could see there were dozens of other choices. But as I was standing there having trouble making a decision, the little girl, it would have been impossible. If the mother had bent over and she says, "Okay, what do you want?" Well, the daughter can't read. She didn't really know what's up there. And there's so many different choices. And she might have said something like, "Pizza." Well, they don't have pizza. Now you've got a meltdown because you asked her what she wanted, and she can't have it, and now she's frustrated, and this is all angry and that sort of thing. Basically, there are too many choices for that little girl, and so her adult mother narrowed it down to the choices that they knew that they had, and probably what the girl would like, and there wouldn't be any issues with that. There's a part of your brain that's exactly what it does, is it narrows down all of the options. It takes all the information, because your brain is constantly being bombarded with information, just by the stuff that you can see and hear and smell all around you and feel. Your brain takes all that information, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the words that are coming at you and that sort of thing, and it throws out most of them. And it gives you like 5. Pick one of these 5. and that's how your brain usually works. And how you pick those 5 says a lot more about like your belief systems, which again is a whole nother video and that sort of thing. But your belief systems are driven by your emotions are driven by your belief systems, and this is the reason why a lot of people will become, this is my theory at least, why a lot of people become suicidal is because they get depressed and their emotions, their sadness starts filtering out any positive options. Even the crazy ones, maybe even the ones that will look like they could never work, but at least they're options. And it filters them all out to where you get to where there's only one option left, and that's kill yourself. And then that becomes the thought, because now they can't really argue against it. Again, remember, when you're in a highly emotional state, including sadness, your IQ drops, and you literally can't solve problems, and you can't think straight, and so you start going down this path of darkness. So this is why I think mindfulness meditation works so well, and it works for almost everything, is because it helps you, if you will, strengthen the adult in your brain to challenge the child, challenge that little screaming toddler that we call an amygdala. And so it's a really powerful tool. If you are feeling depressed, anxious, angry, if it's kind of getting out of control, maybe sometimes, this is a good technique to use to walk yourself through on a daily basis. You'll find that it helps. A lot of my clients usually initially find that they just feel really relaxed, which is good, because anything that helps lower these overall stress levels helps keep you out of that red zone, helps keep you out of the extreme mental states. That way you can think straight. And usually over time, that's when they start noticing a lot more, that the things that used to bother them just don't bother them as much anymore. They're able to kind of challenge and push back their own negative thinking and that sort of thing. And that usually takes a few weeks, which is great, because if you were to go to a psychiatrist and they were to put you on antidepressants, they'd probably tell you it'd take a few weeks to even find out if it even works. If it doesn't work, well, then you got to change pills, you got to try something else, and you keep going. If you are meditating every day, 1, not only are you saving money, 2, there's no side effects, and 3, you're pretty much guaranteed to get some benefits by the time you'd even find out if those antidepressants would even work, which of course is why Big Pharma never pushes mindfulness meditation, because it works, and it works really damn well, and they need to make money. So anyway, sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze here. The allergies are kicking in. But anyway, so I think that's pretty much the end of this video. What I'm going to do next is, I'll upload these on the same day, is I'm going to put up a video on, it's probably just going to be of me talking, and I'll have a video of something, but walking you through how to do the mindfulness meditation. So that way you can kind of listen in and follow, and just kind of use it over and over, just kind of save it on your phone or something else like that. But anyway, I will talk to you later. Bye.